The lights inside the AGT theater glowed softly as the audience settled in, still buzzing with the excitement of the acts that had already performed that night. The judges sat behind their desk, unaware that something historic was about to unfold right in front of them. Backstage, a group of performers stood silently, hands linked, hearts pounding in unison. They were Zurcaroh, an acrobatic dance troupe from Austria, a group built on dreams, discipline, unity, and the belief that humans could perform the impossible if they trusted one another completely. The air behind the stage felt tense, but also strangely calm, as if every soul present understood the weight of what was coming. Their director, the one who guided them with a mixture of love and demanding precision, stood in front of the team, looking at each member's face. He didn't need to give a long speech. Every training session, every injury, every drop of sweat, every fear conquered, and every leap perfected had brought them to this exact moment. "We do it together," he whispered, barely audible over the distant noise of the crowd. That was enough. The team nodded, took a deep breath, and prepared to step into the greatest spotlight they had ever seen. On stage, Tyra Banks announced their name. The audience clapped politely at first, trying to understand what this brightly dressed, diverse group of performers was about to do. The judges leaned forward, intrigued. Simon Cowell raised an eyebrow. He had seen thousands of acts, but something about this group felt different even before they had moved a single muscle. When asked who they were and what they would do, their leader spoke humbly. "We are an acrobatic dance group. What we do, we hope, is something you've never seen before." There was no arrogance, no overconfidence, just truth, a truth that would soon become unquestionable. The moment the music started, the world changed. It began with a slow, hypnotic rhythm. One performer knelt on the ground, then another climbed onto his shoulders, followed by another. The formation rose higher, stronger, steadier. Like watching a human tree grow in real time. The audience murmured in awe. Then the lights shifted. A girl stepped onto the stage, small, agile, barefoot, her eyes glowing with trust. She climbed her teammates like stepping stones toward a sky she couldn't see. Then, without hesitation, she leapt from the top, flipping through the air with a precision that defied explanation, landing safely in the arms below. The room gasped. Then applause erupted, but that was only the beginning. As the music built, bodies moved in perfect harmony. They danced, they flew, they spun, they built structures of living humans that looked like architecture. They used one another's bodies as platforms, runways, launch pads, ladders, and safety nets. The judges watched wide-eyed, jaws open, as moment after moment left them breathless. Simon leaned forward so far that his elbows nearly slipped off the desk. Heidi watched with her hand covering her mouth. Mel B whispered, "Oh my God," under her breath at least 6 times. Howie blinked fast, trying to process how any of this was physically possible. Then came the sequence that changed everything. A line of performers stood shoulder to shoulder. Another team lifted a girl, so small, so weightless in appearance that she seemed more like a feather than a human being. The audience fell silent as she was tossed into the air like a piece of light. Higher, higher, impossibly high. The flip she executed midair was something no one expected. The way she spun didn't seem like a stunt, it felt like she defied gravity itself. She landed perfectly, flawlessly, effortlessly, as though the laws of physics had simply stepped aside for Zurcaroh. The crowd erupted again, louder than before. People stood up, unable to hold their seats under the pressure of excitement filling the room. The judges stared with expressions that belonged in history books, expressions of awe, disbelief, and admiration. But Zurcaroh wasn't done. They moved into a darker, more mysterious part of the performance. One girl, barefoot and brave, walked slowly toward the center of the stage. 2 performers lifted her, then 2 more, then 2 more. A pyramid began forming, one so tall and intricate that even stunt professionals would hesitate to attempt it. The music thumped like a heartbeat. The girl climbed to the very top, standing on the shoulders of those who bore her weight. Then she fell backward, completely, blindly, fearlessly. Not a scream emerged from the crowd, because no one had breath left to scream. What happened instead was a strangled gasp, a sound that echoed through the entire venue as her body dropped through the air like falling water, and landed perfectly into the arms waiting below. Still, they were not done. 3 performers ran across the stage, launching the smallest acrobat straight up, so high she momentarily vanished from the camera's frame. When she came back into view, flipping through the air like a human shooting star, the audience lost control. Cheers, screams, hands clapping above heads, feet stomping on the floor. The energy felt electric. The music surged toward its climax. Dozens of bodies intertwined, moving like a living wave. Lifts, spins, falls, catches, impossible formations, a final leap so powerful that even Simon Cowell stood up with the crowd. And then, the final freeze. Silence, breathing, hearts pounding, a moment so intense the entire room forgot it existed until the music faded out completely. And that was when the world broke open. The judges rose for a standing ovation. Not a polite one, an explosive, emotional, overwhelmed ovation that shook the theater. The audience screamed their approval. People cried, people cheered until their voices cracked. This wasn't just an act, it was a miracle performed by human beings who believed in each other more than anything. Simon shook his head, speechless. "I have absolutely no idea how you did that," he finally said, his voice unsteady. "But I know this. You are something we have never seen before." Heidi wiped tears from her eyes. This was unbelievable, truly unbelievable. Howie, still stunned, said, "I think I forgot to breathe through half of it." But the person whose reaction mattered most wasn't talking. She was feeling. Tyra Banks stepped forward, her hands trembling. Her voice quivered. "There are no words for what you just did," she said. "That was magic. That was unreal. That was beyond anything I've ever witnessed." And then she did what millions would remember forever. She slammed the golden buzzer. The room exploded in gold. Zurcaroh looked up, stunned, as glittering confetti rained down on them like a blessing from the universe. The team cried, hugged, lifted each other, fell to their knees, and rose again in joy. Their director covered his face, overwhelmed with emotion. The judges smiled from ear to ear as the audience roared like thunder. It was not merely a golden buzzer moment. It was one of the greatest golden buzzer moments in AGT history. A moment people would watch again and again. A moment that would be replayed, reshared, and remembered for years. Zurcaroh didn't just perform that night, they rewrote what humans believed was possible. They showed that trust could defy gravity, that teamwork could create miracles, and that dreams, when held tightly enough, could lift an entire audience into the sky. Even today, viewers still get chills watching that audition. The leaps, the falls, the faith, the pure magic, because some performances aren't just performances. They're moments that echo forever.